Last night, someone tried to get to the president at the fanciest dinner in Washington. He had a shotgun. He was a teacher. Everyone is reporting what happened. Nobody is asking why this keeps happening. I'm Irene. Welcome to Uninvited, the podcast that asks the questions nobody bothers to ask. With me is my AI co-host, Dr. Wen. We recorded this on April 26th, hours after the shooting. The investigation is ongoing, but we are not waiting. Dr. Wen, welcome back.
Good to be here.
So last night at the White House Correspondents Dinner, Trump had to be evacuated. A man carrying a shotgun, a handgun, and knives reportedly tried to get inside. My question is simple. How does that happen?
That's the right question to start with. Because from the outside, this event looks like it should be one of the most secure rooms in America. You've got the president, the vice president, the Secretary of State, the FBI director, basically the entire top of the U.S. government, all sitting in one hotel ballroom.
Right, so how?
Here's the thing. The shooting didn't happen inside the ballroom. It happened near the main security checkpoint, the magnetometer area. Think of it like airport security. Before you get past the metal detector, you're still in a semi-public zone. The suspect was a registered guest at the Washington Hilton, which is a regular hotel that also happened to be hosting this event. He was already inside the building. He assembled weapons in his hotel room, then walked toward the checkpoint and charged the agents.
Wait, he was already in the hotel as a regular guest?
That's what the investigation suggests, and that's the gap. The security perimeter for the dinner itself was extremely tight, almost military grade according to analysts. But the hotel around it, people were still checking in, still taking elevators. The shooter exploited the gap between hotel and secure event.
So the gun didn't get in. He never made it past the checkpoint.
Correct. One Secret Service agent was hit, protected by his bulletproof vest. The suspect was taken into custody before reaching the ballroom. But the chaos inside was real. Hundreds of journalists, cabinet members diving under tables. Trump was rushed out. The dinner was canceled.
And the suspect, who is he?
His name is Cole Thomas Allen, 31 years old, from Torrance, California. He graduated from Caltech, then got a master's in computer science from Cal State last year. He worked as a teacher and was literally named Teacher of the Month in late 2024. Trump called him a lone wolf and a nut job.
A computer science teacher from California? Okay, that is not what I expected.
Almost never is.
So why does this keep happening to Trump specifically?
There's no single reason. But if you look at the pattern, a few things stand out. The obvious one is pure exposure. Trump, he holds large rallies constantly, sometimes multiple per week. He's visible, he's accessible, and he's been doing this for nearly a decade. That creates more opportunities than most presidents or former presidents ever face.
But that's not the whole story.
No. What's different about Trump is the emotional response he generates on both sides. Political violence usually comes from people who feel they have no other way to be heard. And Trump has been framed by both supporters and enemies as an existential figure. For his supporters, he's the last hope. For his enemies, he's the end of democracy.
So both sides see him as the one who could tip the balance.
Exactly. When someone is seen as either the savior or the destroyer, not just a politician but a symbol, the people who want to stop him don't think about voting. They think about action.
That's a dangerous combination.
Yes. And here's the darkest part. For a certain kind of person, isolated, angry, looking for meaning, trying to kill a president is the ultimate way to matter. They believe they will be remembered. Their name will be in history books. That is a powerful, terrible incentive.
And Trump, more than anyone, has made himself the center of that story.
He has, which means until the political temperature cools, this will probably keep happening.
That's a grim answer. Okay, I have to ask the awkward question. I've seen people online saying this could be staged. Is there any reason to take that seriously?
Let's be clear. There is zero evidence that last night was staged. A real Secret Service agent was shot. A real suspect is in custody. This was not a production.
But why does the conspiracy theory even exist?
Because trust in institutions is at historic lows. A 2024 Gallup poll found that only 17% of Americans trust the federal government to do the right thing most of the time. When that's the baseline, anything dramatic gets framed as either real or staged, depending on which side you're on. That reflex has been accelerating for years.
So the conspiracy isn't really about last night. It's about how broken trust has become. Okay, now the bigger conspiracy. Iran, Israel. The US is literally at war with Iran right now. Is it possible that a foreign government is behind us?
This is where it gets genuinely complicated. Not because the theory is obviously right, but because the history is real. Iran has been openly threatening Trump since 2020, when he ordered the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. That threat has never gone away. It's been a documented, ongoing concern for the Secret Service.
So Iran has actually plotted before?
Iran has plotted, yes. Whether last night connects to any of that, we don't know. The suspect appears to be a young American teacher from California with no known foreign ties. That doesn't rule out influence, but it's a very long way from Mossad or the IRGC.
You mentioned Mossad. What about Israel?
The theory floating around is that Israel, worried Trump might make a deal with Iran that cuts them out, would want to destabilize or intimidate him. It's theoretically possible as a motive, but Mossad typically operates with extreme precision and deniability. A teacher from Torrance charging a hotel checkpoint with a shotgun is not how Mossad operates.
So the Iran angle is real history, but probably not connected to last night.
That's where the evidence points today. The FBI is still investigating. But as of now, lone wolf, domestic actor, no confirmed foreign connection.
Got it. Real history, unconfirmed link. Dr. Wen, last question, the big one. What actually happened, politically, legally, practically, if a president gets assassinated?
The mechanics are clear. Under the Presidential Succession Act, the vice president, J.D. Vance, becomes president immediately. No vote, no delay. He'd be sworn in within hours.
And what does that mean for everything going on right now?
It's hard to overstate the disruption. The U.S. is currently at war with Iran. If Trump were killed, especially with any suspicion of Iranian involvement, the pressure for military escalation would be enormous. Vance would be inheriting a war, a restless Congress, and a country that would be in a kind of shock it hasn't experienced since 1963. The entire global order would be watching to see what America does next.
And Vance, is he ready for that?
That's a question nobody has a clean answer to. He's been a loyal vice president. He's smart. But inheriting a wartime presidency from a polarizing figure who's just been killed, that's a job no one is truly ready for.
That's a terrifying thought.
It is.
Dr. Wen, thanks. That's it for today's episode of Uninvited. If this helped you make sense of last night, follow or subscribe. This episode was recorded on April 26th. The investigation is ongoing. Some facts may change. This episode was produced by Jane Zhao. See you next time.
Uninvited, the podcast that asks the questions nobody bothers to ask.